It's not 100. Maybe a little bit higher. Oh, that's right. Maybe is it recording already now?
Yes.
No, so maybe not. Maybe just till. Shalom Aleichem, everyone. And needless to say that we're learning for the sake of Am Yisrael. I want to just start off with a small question, which I don't have a great answer for. In Perek of Dalet, Pasuk Nun Zayin, what does it say? Vayomru, right? Nika l'naira, v'nishalat pia, right? Nachon? So what does Rashi say? Mikan she'ein masina se'isha ela midaita. Right? So what's that say in Perek of Dal Pasuk Nun Zayin? That you can't marry a isha, but only from her das. So first it just happens to be we're learning Kedusha now. And the Gemara in Kedusha that Beis Amud Beis asks, why does it say ha'isha niknes and not ha'ish koine? And the Gemara answers, if you would have said ha'ish koine, I would have thought afilu bal kocha, that you could do it against your will, like he's the one who decides. Therefore it says ha'isha niknes midaita in shelo midaita lo. What the Havamina of the Gemara is going to ignore a pasuk? How can you say that? How could the Havamina of Gemara say that if it would say ha'ish koine, I would have said you could do it bal kocha? It's a pasuk here that you can't do it bal kocha. V'nishanal pia mikan she'ein masina isha lemidaita. Write whatever you want in the Mishnah. I'm not going to go against the pasuk. If anybody has an answer, אני אשמח לשמוע. Rashi says, Mikan. Rashi is speaking after Matan Torah. Mikan, from here we learn. Right? Okay. So I don't know. It's a question. Like, what? Rabbi said, since we touched that ground, we just want to tell you something gishmak. It's not in the passage, but something gishmak that I saw in the Gemara. My father show. He wrote on the side. So it took me a while till I understood it, but it's so gishmak. I got to share it with you. Again, the Gemara has a havamina that if it would say ish koine, I would have thought you could do it bal kocha. You don't have to look. You don't need her consent. Therefore, it says ha'isha niknes, that you need her das. So how could you write in the beginning of Perek Sheni ha'ish mekadesh? I'll again make a mistake that maybe you could do it bal kocha. That's Taisa's kasha. Taisa's answer is no. Once you already made the point in our Mishnah that you need a das, so you can write whatever you want now. I'm not going to make that mistake because I already know it from the Mishnah. That's what Taisa's answers. My father was showing on this Gemara on the side the following. It says in that Mishnah, ha'ish mekadesh boy u'b'shluchai. Okay, that's what the Mishnah says there. The beginning of Perek Sheni in Kiddushin, right? Now there's a yadua machlokes between Rashi and Tosfos. If hatoifes the Baal Chov b'mokom shecham lachem, there's an expression in the Gemara, but in a few other places, if someone owes money to a lot of people, and you go and collect money for, so if you're one of the people that he owes to and you collect money for yourself, fine. Even if there's not enough for everyone, but you're allowed to come and collect for yourself. But if he doesn't owe you any money, but you're doing it for your friend, so then you cannot collect on behalf of your friend because it's an expense of others. So for yourself you can take. But it's not doing favors to collect for other people. It doesn't work. You know where it's enough communal lemaisa? If a guy, let's say, comes to shul, and there's not enough sidurim chumashim for everyone, he takes 6 chumashim in advance because his children will come later. The Vana, they're not there. And meanwhile, people that are coming on time don't have a chumash. That's called Toifus Abal Chum. You want to take a chumash for yourself, fine. But to take for people who are not here yet. And then the people who are here won't have a chumash. You can't do that. Or sometimes at a simcha, there's 25 chairs already around the table because you want to sit with your friends. So someone says, "Can I sit there?" "No, I'm sorry. It's for my friends. I'm going to come another half an hour." That's called Teufetz Malchov Mokom Shecham Lachem. Fine. Machlokes Rashi and Tosfos. Machlokes Rashi and Tosfos. What happens if you appoint a shaliach? It's not that the Tosfos does it on his own. But someone asked them, "Please be Tosfos for me." Does that work or not? Rashi says yes. Shliach works because it's like an extension of the person himself. Tosfos disagrees. Tosfos says you can't appoint a shaliach. A shaliach can do it even if he's a shaliach. B'mokom shecham lachem. Fragt the Noig de Yehuda in Even Ezer Madur Kamas Simon Samach Dalet. What would you say about this kasha? How could you appoint a shaliach to mekadesh Yisha? It's Tosfos lachem. B'mokom shecham lachem. Once Reuven marries her, Shimon cannot marry her. So according to Tosfos that you cannot appoint a shaliach when it's Chav Lachem, how could you appoint a shaliach to Mekadesh Isha? What do you think the Noid answers?
She's deciding.
She has to us. She doesn't want to marry someone else. So you can't say if Reuben won't marry her, Shimon will marry her. She doesn't want to get married to Shimon. She wants to get married only to Reuben. So since it says in that Mishnah, Aish Mekadesh Boy Ubishluchay, Muchach, that she has to have das. Because if she doesn't have das, it's Teufetz Malchov Mokom Shecham Lachem. So therefore, in that Mishnah, you could write Aish Mekadesh, the Mafiga Mekadesh, write whatever you want. I won't ever think they could do it without her consent. Because if he could, how could he appoint a Shaliach? That's Chav Lachem. Geschmack, no? Right? Jewish? Jewish, man! I used to live with my father on Shabbos when I was between 15 and 18. Unfortunately, I was lived when I was 19. I used to live with him, and it's such a matana tova that Kodesh Baruch gave to the Jewish people. I don't see people using it enough. Sit down with your son. It made such a bond. Elamai, sometimes there's a tension that could be that the father will see that the son didn't learn so well that week. He wasn't listening. And he'll get maybe angry. So learn with him another Gemara. That's not part of what he learns in school. Take a different Masechta. It makes such a bond. I'm serious. Did I what's called quality time? The father and the son went to watch a movie together. Wow. That's quality time? They weren't with each other. They're together watching a movie. That's called quality time. Oh, they together went to a sports event. Fine. If they're together talking to each other, Zachi, that's the most. I remember it was very geschmack. It was screaming at Lev Shamayim. I remember, and my mother would come in and say, "The neighbors are going to think you're fighting. Stop." Of course, my father could scream at me. I couldn't scream at my father the way he screamed at me. If I would tell him a svara that he didn't like, for this I'm paying so much tuition? For these kind of svaras? It was geschmack. And you know what happened on Sundays? You know what happened almost every Sunday? I used to chaz with him when I learned throughout the week, and then on Sunday I would come tell the Rebbe my father's questions that he had on what we learned throughout the week. And then almost traditionally, every shir on Sunday, half of it was, the Rebbe repeated my father's questions. How are we going to answer? What do you think I felt like? The king. It reached a madrega that when I would go down with my father, my friends, if I would be there, would go straight to speak to him. They ignored me legally. Like my age, and they're speaking to him. Because he had a kasha. Then it wouldn't grace me at all. It's a matana. It's a matana taiva. Use it. Use it, chavre. There's tricks how to do it. But anyway, I'll call upon what I say. Good. So that kasha, I have a question on Pasuk Nun Zayin. How does the Havun of the Gemara work with this Pasuk? I mean, on Pasuk Nun Zayin? I don't know. Now, boys, let's go on to the next Pasuk, which I want to focus on today. Pasuk Samach Dalet, Samach Gimel, start Pasuk Samach Gimel. Vayetze Yitzchak lesuach basoda lifnos orev, vayisa eina vayar v'nei gmalim ba'im. Vatisa Rivka senea vateres Yitzchak vatipol me'al hagamal. Okay? ותאמר אל העבד, מי האיש הזה ההולך בשדה לקראתנו? ויאמר העבד, הוא אדוני, ותיקח הציף ותתכס. Okay, here Rabbi said, I have a kasha again from previous years. I'm just going to repeat it again. You know, the word Adoni is mentioned in this parsha, in these 60 psukim, 17 times. I counted. 16 of them, Adoni means Abraham. Ben Adoni is Yitzchak. Here, it means Yitzchak. Why do you say who Ben Adoni? That's how it was till now. V'Hashem berechet Adoni bakol. It was always Abraham. 17 times. I remember now if it's 18 times together or 70. One of the two. I remember now. I say I have a suffix. So they say no because he gave over a star kinyan, and the star kinyan. So you should have said it before. The star kinyan was given already earlier. Rashi says. So I don't know what I mean. I looked around and around and around to see if anybody asks it. I saw Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky asks it. I didn't see anyone before that asked it.
After she took the jewelry.
What?
After she took the jewelry, that's when it was cut, no?
Since then it also says Adonai. Even after the jewelry. Give a look. Here. Yeah. Here. Where does it say also? It says Nun Dalet. You get there. Maybe it's already Yitzchak then?
Yeah, it's in Memches.
Which one?
Memches.
Memches. Yeah. But then he says, there he does say Abraham. I don't know. It's a good question to think about. But let's go on to the next pasuk. Here's a pasuk that let's bite our teeth into. Vayaviyah Yitzchak ha'ehela. Soroh imoi. Vayikach es Rivka. V'atihi lo leisha. Vayaveh. Vayinachem Yitzchak echad imoi. What would you say? Pasuk Pshat. Before we're going to see Rashi, how would you explain this pasuk? How would you translate it to English? Vayaveh Yitzchak ha'ehela. Sorry, what does that mean? Yitzchak brought her, who's her? Rivka, to the tent of his mother. And then again, Vayikach es Rivka v'atihi lo leisha. Rashi is not going to like that. Rashi is going to learn that there's two statements there. Vayivea Yitzchak ha'ela. Those three words are one thing. Soroh imoi is another thing. Look at the Rashi. Says Rashi, Pasuk Samach Zayin. Ha'ela, Soroh imoi. Vayivea ha'ela. He brought her into the tent. V'na'aseh dugma Soroh imoi. And she became like Soroh imoi. Kilomar v'arei hi Soroh imoi. I'll read you what the Maral says on this over here. What was Rashi bothered by? Kipshutoi. Hakim ben Ezra Kiposh Pshat. V'arei Soroh imoi. Pirush. Shelo yitechen lomar. With the way it's written, ha'ela Soroh imoi. Why? Sharei ha'ela mashma ha'ela yadua. There's a hair yediyah. Ha-oil means the known one. So then what do you have to say Soroh imoi? Because you don't have a hair yediyah on a smichus. That's what it's called. That's all Mepharshim Rashi say the same idea. Right? Oil Sarah, that means that it's not known which oil it is. Okay? There was no need to write Soroh afterwards. Ha'ela means the known tent. Obviously, the known tent in this context will mean his mother's tent. What else is known here? Right? Okay? ואם כן היה צריך לכתוב לכם סורא אימוי, אבל למכתב אויל סורא אימוי, לא האויל לא סורא אימוי, אלא כך פירושו האויל הידוע. No, we'll see in a minute. Yitzchak brought Rivka, but Pashas he brought Rivka. He brought Rivka.
Sorry, Yitzchak
to the oil.
Of Soroh.
He brought her to the oil, and she is Soroh imoi. Yeah, what it means to the Soroh. Grammatically, lies to her tent. To the tent of Soroh.
Right.
Yeah, and then she is Soroh imoi. So there's two statements here. Vayaveh Yitzchak ha'ela, and what's hat geshein? She became Soroh imoi.
How'd you get that?
That's what you got because there's no other way. This is the pasuk. You can't say Oil Soroh imoi because it's a hair yidiyah. So you can't say ha'el is soroh imay. Okay, because a hey means it's no, so there's no need to say soroh imay. So it's not. It's okay. That's what the Maral says. Because that's what the Maral says. Okay, okay. Are we also Rabbi Leon Mizrahi says it? Are we the Rosh Rabbi Leon Mizrahi? Here. כי לפי רש"י, ויבא יצחק האלה הוא דיבור בפני עצמו, וסורah imay הוא דיבור בפני עצמו. Right? Two things. So what do I say? Let's think for a second. Rabbi Yosef said a very interesting point. Look at the pasuk. Do you see anything strange in the pasuk, even before Rashi?
He uses a different type of hay instead of lamed.
That we're at Mitzrayim instead of Limitzrayim. That's okay.
That's okay.
That's fine. Kol teva shetzich lamed betchilata al tel hey b'seifa. There's something strange here, no? What? 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 Maybe, no, maybe not. That wasn't the Seder. She first came to the tent and then he married her. Maybe that was the Seder. I don't know what the Seder was. But how come initially there's no name mentioned, Rivka, and then only later on you say Vayikachas Rivka? It should have said Vayaviyah or Vayaviyas Rivka, Vayikachea. The A should be the name. And then you rely on the name that you mentioned earlier. But to start without a name, and then B is with a name? The Rabbeinu B'chai asked this question. He's the first one I saw they asked this question. The name of Rivka is hidden in the Reisha. Vayaviyah Yitzchak O'ela doesn't say who. Vayikach is Rivka. Now it says Rivka. It should have been fakir. Say Rivka initially, and then don't say her name later on. So Maskil David says what the Yosef said. It sounds funny. Vayaveh Yitzchak O'ela, he brought Sarah to the oil. Wait a little bit. Sarah's back. The Nissim of Sarah are back. That's what the Maskil David says. According to this, that's how I understood it. Vayaveh O'ela.
So what have you said, no?
The Vayaveh is going on Sarah? Where does he say that? The Pashup Shad is he's going on Rivka, and she became Sarah Imay. But the Maskil Adam wants to say that it's really referring to Sarah. It sounds a little bit no?
How can he bring something?
Difficult.
Her presence, her
The spirit?
the Maskil David, Dova Pardo.
No, so that's spirit. Sort of spirit.
Yeah. Mashu Kazet. Yeah. Vayeveh Yitzchak O'ela.
Carbon seems to be like Rashi.
What?
The Unkel seems to be like Rashi.
We'll get see in a minute. We'll see in a minute. But anyway, so he brought it to the oil, and she zihot gevein. No, not gevein. She became Gavon. Very good, Ari. Zihot Gavon. She became a shtik Sarah Imay. She's like her. Kulamar varei Sarah Imay. What? No, but you're right. It says before though, but it says Dugma Sarah Imay. Kulamar varei Sarah Imay. Yeah. Doesn't even say. It doesn't even say Sarah. Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Good point.
That's the Lashon HaPasuk. Rashi is explaining
Lashon
Lashon HaPasuk.
Pasuk. Sarah Imay. Now, and we're going to see soon that there were Nissim that happened when Sarah was around, and now these Nissim reoccurred. We're going to go through it in a minute. But before we go into those Nissim, are we talking about the individual Rivka or the oil of Rivka? Zelo baroli. Vayaveh Yitzchak O'ela, and she became Sarah Imay? Or the oil became like Sarah Imay?
I don't know how you get that, to be honest.
Shabbat, Rashi finishes off because Shabbat Rivka Chazru.
The sense of it,
Chazar to what?
To
the oil.
Daluk and all that.
So is it a din in the oil?
No, it's been in Rivka reinvesting the oil with what it had before.
Is Rivka's bringing everything back, or Rivka made the oil be what it was before? ונעשס דוגמת סורי, כלומר, והרי סורי אימוי, שכל זמן שסורי קיימת היה נר דולק בערב שבס, וברכה מצויה בעיסה, ועונן קושרו לאוהל. ומשמטה פוסקו, וכשבת רבקה חוזרו. They reappeared in the oil, no? That's what it means, no?
Yeah, in the oil, but it's because Rivka was
For sure it's because of Rivka there.
That
But-
Sarah there was gone, and then Rivka it all came back.
It came back, so is it something...
It's totally Rivka.
It's for sure Tol and Rivka. No one will say otherwise. But what happened once Rivka came? The Nisim reoccurred, or the oil gained its previous glory?
The Nissim
What's the
reoccurred.
difference?
We'll see soon. So I have here a Chumash, which is, has the translation as they go on. אתה שומע את השאלה? Yeah? אתה שומע? So nobody said, there's something here that translates to Hebrew. Again, it says it's taken from the Mefresh Rashi, so nevertheless, look what he says. Ha'oel saremo.
But before
eh,
the Sarah, what would he say? The Nissim were the tent or the Sarah? I mean,
In the tent. We'll see soon. And you're right, the kasha starts there. אין כוונת כתוב רק שהביאה לו שרה, ויבוא האוהלה, והרי סור עמו. כלומר, מכיוון שהביאה נעשית רבקה כדומת סור עמו, שכל זמן שהייתה קיימת, היו מתקיימים באוהל 3 ניסים. Right? באוהל 3 ניסים. Are we all alive? Are we all awake and kicking? Everyone's awake? Good! Is it, he said, it says Mefresh in this Hebrew translation. כל הזמן ששרה הייתה קיימת, היו מתקיימים באוהל זה 3 ניסים. Let's give a look again, because the pasuk at the end of the day is speaking about the oil. If you just want to say the miracles came back, why are you mentioning the oil?
That's where they occurred.
So, I mean, so it's just Maramokum?
Yeah, well, that's what he says as well. The oil's there. That's where they happened.
No, but the Nissim have to do with the oil, apparently. If it's just that's where it happened, is there a need to say it? It also happened on, I don't know, it came back, it was Wednesday afternoon. I don't know. You don't mention details which are not important. Why is the Pusik singling out the oil? Take out the word oil. Va'evea Yitzchak, va'arei Sarah imoi. The Pusik should have not mentioned the word oil at all. She came back and all the miracles are back.
It's not really important. It's like a dogma of Mishkan that's going to be later.
Oh, so there's something about the oil, right? That's what you have to say. In fact, there's a shul in Yerushalayim called Ohel Rivka. It's such a shul. Remember, Reb Tzal's old shul. It's called Ohel Rivka. Right? It has to be that someone's connected to the oil, because why the pasuk have to mention the oil? Rabbi says, if you take out the word oil from the pasuk, you'll see nothing's missing. Vayaviyah Yitzchak. Sorry, why?
That
difficult.
doesn't mean anything.
Brought her where?
Why?
Brought her where?
What's it mean?
Like Rashi said, she became Sarah.
Yeah, but then there's been pashtus in the puzzle. I mean,
What? Look at what she said.
so why don't
ויבא האוהל ונעשה דוגמת שרים בו.
you can't bring something to do with it.
Okay, so you know what? So don't.
Otherwise, it means by that he brought her to Sarah. That doesn't mean anything.
Look at Rashi says. ויבא האוהל ונעשה כלומר והרי שרים בו. The way the Mara is learning it.
You have to bring it to somewhere, otherwise it's not bringing.
You know what? So don't say the word bring. What's the point? If that's not the right, once you say bring, you gotta say someone to wear. I'm gonna become ill. But why do you have to say it that way, Bichlal? Why is the focus on oil?
It's clearly a
The what?
that's the second half.
Okay, but I'm speaking about these miracles. Are these miracles? Give a look at what we said. Are these miracles oil oriented?
The other was kosher, though.
Ana kosher for sure. זה עם הדבר. But the other two. שכל הזמן ששרה כאמס היה נר דולוק מערב שבס לערב שבס, וברכה מצויה בעיסה, ועונן kosher על האוil. So honor kosher oil for sure has a din in the oil. And the other one's because of ice. And ner dolek is a din also of Yishum. Yeah, it's a din in the bais, of Shalom bais.
All those happened even when Sarah wasn't in the tent. She went out, so whatever, shopping or whatever. The Chodesh Nissim carried on.
I'm sure, Karen. I'm sure it's not every time she went to Kosher Kingdom, it stopped, and then she's back. Boom! You still not.
So grammatically, ha'ohela is a very weird way of saying it, because you're not saying la'ohela, you're saying ha'ohel. And by saying ha'ohel, you're making a significance of the word tent. Because otherwise you would have said la'ohela, a tent.
Like that.
So by saying
I know.
but I'm saying
The
it's
hair
not
at the end is not a her. It's not a her. It's a that is not her. It's two. It's instead of a lamb.
The hay in the end is not
It's
the.
not Muppet.
That's not a muppet.
It's not her tent. It's not.
It's like Mitzrayma.
yeah.
Instead of saying Mitzrayim, you say Mitzrayma. Instead of saying la'ohel, it says ohela. Okay, that's okay. Anyway, Rabbi says, so we all feel it's a din in the oil, and this means, because maybe again, a ish is called bais. Ma'olam lo karati li'ishti ishti, and li'ishti beiti. Ishto beis 100%. So somehow, Rivka came back, and the oil is back to what it was before. Kach katuv. And that shows that Rivka is back to being like Sarah Imoy. Okay. So, Rabbi, I just want to share with you what the Mal says about this. Again, after explaining the pshat, what was Rashi bothered by, and it's really two statements here. That's statement number one. And statement number two, Sarah Imai. If you look at the timing, it's a little bit doing that way. Pashta is called Melech, it's only that small. Sarah Imai.
A Ravi is more of a stop than a pashta is. So there's more of a stop in between the Yitzchak and the
Could be. I hear. Okay, and let me come out. Now, what is the way Ari told us? Okay, then that's going to wrap. I remember I used to have a Rebbe that would bring 16 rice to what he said. So maybe I asked him about Kasha on one of the rice. Okay, I got another 15 though. What's always the answer?
It's not a pashta. It's the other one. So it's got two. I don't know what it's called. Yeah, even when it's like.
Yeah, when it's still, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Rabbi say, what does the uncle say? Va'ayla Yitzchak leMishkana. Ahla. He brought her to the Mishkan. V'chaza. And he saw, the word v'chaza is not mentioned in the pasuk. Va'ayla Yitzchak leMishkana v'yavea Yitzchak oela. V'chaza v'atakina uvdai ke'uvdai Sarah imei. And her deeds were good like the deeds of her mother. V'nasiv Yasruvka, and then he married her. V'ikachas Rivka means he got married to her. V'avele le'itu. Okay, so the uncle is also echoing that Rivka was brought in, and then things were great, and then he married her. The Briskerov on this pasuk, by the way, says, because the previous pasuk says in Samach Vav, ויספר העבד גילה לו ניסים שנעשו לו שקופץ לו הארץ ושנזדם לו לרבקה בתפילוסוי. All these, says the Briskerov, you see Yitzchak was not a chassid. Because if you tell a chassid, it's going to give Gewaldige miracles. Oh, Gewaldig! Hey, look at Baruch HaKodesh! Yitzchak said there was this, Eliezer reported there were Nisim, and Yitzchak was not a person. Only when he saw that all the maisim that she did are coming back, now he decided to marry her. But not because of the nisim. So you see, you don't get married because of nisim. That's what the Briskerov say. A very Litvish, cult, Litvish word.
If he was a rebbe himself, Hasidim get excited about the Nisim.
Right? But obviously, it's Yadua. This is documented. The Noidim Yudah was against Hasidim, as you know. The pasuk Yishorim Dach Hashem. The Noidim knows it. The Hasidim. Okay, good.
Tzadikim yelchu. Poishim yikoshim.
He says Hasidim. He changed it around. Okay, let me what do we have to bring it up? There was known that once they daven mincha together, the Baal Shem Tov and the Noidim Yudah, they daven mincha in the same room. What? It's a good kasha. That's a good kasha. And the Baal Shem Tov came and told him after Mincha, Reb Chaskel, right when he said Shema Kalenu, you were thinking about a sugya between me and you, right? Yeah, that was. I'll tell you which sugya you were thinking about. He told him the sugya they was thinking about. And then Yehuda made a point, it did not impress me, ki huzeh. It didn't change my opinion at all. Like, we're not impressed with miracles. Fine. It's not that the Satmar Rebbe used to daven mincha very, very late. I'm sure he had his reasons because he was a Goyin Olam. So it was someone sitting, the Satmar Rebbe was sitting Shiva on his sister. And Rav Hutner Zatzal came to Menachem Ovel, and it was way after Shkia. And the Satmar Rebbe was very on the ball. So he told Rav Hutner, did you daven mincha yet? Like he's starting up with the Litvish Rosh Hashiva. Did you daven mincha yet? Because it was half an hour after Shkia. Did you daven mincha yet? So Rav Hutner said, today not. My last mincha was yesterday. Today I haven't daven mincha yet. I gotta wait till tomorrow. Heintnish. That's what he said. And the Satmar Rebbe liked it. The Satmar Rebbe. Okay, Rabbi says. So anyway, what's the pshat of these three nisim? So says the Maral, and this is not only the Maral, I saw the Chizkuning, they all say it. What's these three nisim? Neged Gimel mitzvahs that are Ishas mitzvah behem. What does it say in the Mishnah? Shalosh averos noshim mesos b'shas leidosan al she'enan zehirois b'nida chala v'adlokas haner. I heard the Lubavitch Rebbe called it Chana. Rashi Tevis Chana. Chana is Chala, Nida, and Adloka. Fine. So says the Maral, Neged Gimel mitzvahs, these three miracles are corresponding to the three mitzvahs that Aisha has. Bracha mitzuya be'isa. Obviously it's connected which mitzvah? Chala, for sure. Ner doilek, okay, that's Ner doilek, what could it be against? Oh, Ner. Okay, good. V'anon kosher ala oil, okay. Ki anon hakoven hu shchina sakoven yizbarach. It's a Kodesh Baruch Hu's shchina dwelling on the oil. V'zeh lechoved ha'kedusha v'atahara. Ki atahara mevi lidei ruach hakodesh. So it has to do. Anon has to do with tahara because anon means it's ruach hakodesh here. Bekitzer, it shows kedusha. Fine. ולפיכך שרה שהייתה שומרת התהרה, זכתה שיהיה אנון שומר לאוהל. Very good. Fine. Omnam, says the Maral, but Breshis Rabba Amru Odechad. Anybody knows what's the fourth one? You do not. You might be forgetting on? But the three Nisim Rashi mentions. Again, Bracha Mitzuya Ba'isa, Ner Dolek Me'erev Shabbos and Erev Shabbos, Ve'onan Kosher L'Oil. But there's a fourth one. You know that the house is open to four sides? Right? Then it was like open all over. It was like open from all, guests were coming from all four corners. ודלת דבורים זכו חז"ל במדרש. ורש"י השמיט. אחד וקיצר דבריהם. Rashi omitted one of them. Why did he do it? ואולי עשה זה, מפני כי לשלושת שזוכר יש טעם. The three that are mentioned are corresponding to those three of Aisha and the Mishnah and Shabbos. אבל כל הזמן שהייתה שרה חיה, היה בייס בטוח לרווחה, אין טעם. There's no reason for that. So Rashi omitted it. Now, first I'm going to tell you what the Maral says, what it does mean. And then look what the Maral says. It's hard to believe. He says two pshatim what the four things really mean, what Chazal really meant. אמרתי זה להגיד לך שאין ראוי לחזר מכוונת חז"ל. Don't subtract from what Chazal is saying. כי כל דבריהם בחוכמה ובשיר. Whatever Chazal say is exactly accurate. לא הוסיפו ולא גורו. They didn't add and they didn't subtract. והנה רש"י רצה לחסר מדברי חז"ל. Rashi is deducting from what Chazal is saying, subtracting. כי הם אמרו ד' והוא הביא רק 3. והנה זה חיסורן מן הכוונה אשר רצו חז"ל. He's giving him a little, if you could say, a little music to Rashi. Amazing. He's telling Rashi, don't do that with Chazal. If Chazal said 4, you got to say 4. They knew what they were talking about. You can't take off from what Chazal was saying. That's what he's saying. He's saying it in Derech Eretz, you can see. But nevertheless, he's making the point. Stick to what Chazal said. What do the 4 mean? So what do I say? אמנם, מי שרוצה לעמוד על דברי חז"ל, יש לו לדעת כאלו דבורים נפלאים, מורה על מנת צרה, שהייתה מתברכת בכל הברכס. Now, we say it's a very susu Maral. Let's see if we can work it out together. He's going to start showing what these 4 things mean. כי מה שהיה ענן קשור לאוהל, הוא למידת אברהם. That's Avraham. The dove is a bevor. Who doesn't understand that? You got to be a fool if you don't say that one. וברכה מצויה בעיסה. אוקיי, כמו שאמרנו מעלה, באברכך, אז זהו שומרים אלוקי יצחק. ומשם הברכה. ולפיכך ברכה מצויה. ותלתותיה הפסוכים לברכה, הוא רמז לברכס יעקב. כי משם הברכה בא לעולם, והוא ידוע. ונר דלוק מערב שבס, מליל שבס ליל שבס, הוא עניין רביעי. והבן זה היטב. That's the moral. קפיש? מאוד לא קפיש, נכון? Capish in Italian means to understand. So, Rabbi said, the little that I know, he's referring to, it's Kabbalistic terms, but don't worry. He's referring to Chagat and Malchus. You know, those are the 3 and the 4? Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, and then Malchus is Mitzvah Makabel. Who are those 4 that always represent that? The Avos. And who represents Malchus? David. Now, he says, Ner Revi, Ner Hu Inyan Revi. Bring me a ride that David has to do with a Ner. What? Barichas Ner Leven Yishai Avnecha Ki Veshem Kodshecha Nishmat Eloi Shelo Yichbe Nego Eloi Lomod. Epes David has to do with a Ner. I asked this to Ramesh if that's the Ram means. He says Me'achuz. The Inyan Levi means David. Okay? So let's go over it again just to see, in our level, what does it mean? In our simple level. Ki ma she'ha onan kashur la'oil hu lemidas Avraham. What said? It's a Rashi in this week's Parsha. What did Avraham Avinu do? He brought a Kodesh Baruch Hu down to the world. Do you know that Avraham Avinu says in himself nothing less than the following? In this week's Parsha, Rashi said it. Avraham Avinu was called Anav. The Gemara Sotah says he's an Anav She'en Kamoyo. He said, before I came to the world, the Kodesh Baruch Hu was only Elokei HaShamayim. Once I came to the world, he's also Elokei HaAretz. You familiar with that, Rashi? Rabbi Yisai? Are you familiar? Give a look. In Perek Kavdal Pasuk Zayin. Just let's see that Rashi. In Pasuk Gimel it says, "Vashbecha b'Hashem Elokei HaShamayim Elokei HaAretz." Pasuk Zayin, that's going back into earlier state, when Avraham Avinu was still in Haran, Hashem Elokei HaShamayim Shekam B'Samim Eretz Moati. It doesn't say Elokei HaAretz anymore, like it said before. So says Rashi, Hashem Elokei HaShamayim Shekam B'Samim V'lo Amar V'Elokei HaAretz U'Lamal Amar V'Hashbiacha. אמר לו, עכשיו הוא לוקח השמיים ולוקח הארץ. שהרגלתי בפי הבריאוס. אבל כשהלכני בסביע, לוקח השמיים ולא לוקח הארץ. שלא יהיו בעיות למכיר בוי. So Avraham Avinu is saying nothing less. Avraham Avinu is the one who brought a Kodesh Baruch Hu to the world. It's through the midah of Chesed, because that's the road. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world as an act of Chesed, so therefore the way coming from the world to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is also through Chesed. B'Ibaram, Elotiyot B'Avraham, B'diuk. So Anan Kosher Lahar means there's Shechina connected to something down here. That's Avraham. I heard it from Moshe Shapiro Zatzal. I remember that he said in the name of Tzaddik. Today with the computers in Tzaddik, I couldn't find it though. You know, 2 or 3 times in Shas, not more. Rav Yosef forgot his learning, and then he started remembering. And he asked at the beginning of Subas, Mori da Avram, Tali Tanya b'Delot Tanya? You remember that expression? Yeah. The Elokim of Avram, you take, what did he do there? He took a mission which is clear, and he hooked it up to a mission, now made it unclear. Our job is to do the opposite, make unclear things clear. Mori da Avram, Tali Tanya b'Delot Tanya? So why is he saying Mori da Avram? The Elokim of Avram. Why Avram? Because Avram took an unclear world and made it clear. Introduced the Boire. You're doing the opposite of what Avraham Avinu did. So therefore you say Mori da Avram. This I heard from Moshe Shapiro. But I remember that he said it in Rav Tzadok. I did not find Rav Tzadok. So or I don't remember, right? Or my computer doesn't work so well, or I don't know. Beseder. So Anan Kosher Laha means that Kodesh Baruch Hu, the Shechina is dwelling in the world. That's thanks to Avraham. Beseder. Bracha Mitzuya. Bracha has to do with din, with Gvura. Harutzeh La'ashir. Yet speed, suffering. Why? What doesn't make swear? Why does it have to? Bracha has to do with din? But that's everywhere, boys say. How do you say? How do you call a rich person? A gvir. It's the word gvur. Ma pitom gvur. Rabbi said this has to be explained by us. This is something I understand. It's Kabbalah, which I know nothing about. But the pshat's like this: bracha is a ribui. Ribui is going to number 2. Din is always number 2, because first comes yamin and then comes small. So the din is always the second layer of the hanaga of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world, because everything starts with chesed, and therefore ribui has to do with din. Leida. Remember I shared with you the Maral the other day? Last week, Hashem bakal tzara kasher amar, vayas la kasher diber. Says Rashi, what's diber? Leida. Why is Leida called dibur? Because dibur is din, and Leida is when the baby comes out. That's din. V'zeu shemaskirim b'birkas atagibo mafter shel Leida. Did I mention that last week? Yeah. Okay. Somehow abundance has to do with din. And with Yitzchak, Rabbi said, bring me a Rashi that you all know that shows the bracha has to do with Yitzchak. Hayu oimrim zevel pirdotav shel Yitzchak v'lo zav v'kesem shel Avimelech. You remember that? When he did Mea Sharim? It says, V'ayita Mea Sharim. Rashi says there. Remember Rashi says that? And Pashtos, where? Which pasuk? Oshkach. Very quick. You know, today, it seems the oil was like wide awake.
Even could do it.
What?
Even could do it.
But he said, it says Mea Sharim, so it says Rashi. The next pasuk, Ki Gadol Ma'od. Shayom zevel perdotav shel Yitzchak v'lo kaspav zav shel Avimelech. We prefer the zevel of Yitzchak than the gold of Avimelech. There is something has to do with bracha, has to do with din. Look, the pasuk that Rashi said, "V'avarchecha," says Rashi in the beginning of Lech Chazeh Elokei Yitzchak. V'avarcha zeh shamim Elokei. What's the lashon there? No, not kedush Shabbat. What's the first one? After what's before V'avarchecha? V'escha l'gogol. That's Abraham. V'avachecha, that's okay. So you say already the bracha has to do with Yitzchak. That's way. What's the hezbollah? Lo yodea. But that's what it says. Bracha and din go together, even though our first outlook will be seen the opposite. Nachon? So that's what it means. So bracha mitzuya b'yisa, that's connected Yitzchak. ובדלתיה הפתוחות לרווחה הוא רמז לברכת יעקב כי משם רווחה בא לעולם והוא ידוע. What is he referring to, Rabbi Isai? It says about Yaakov Avinu, "Faratzta yama v'kedma tzafona v'negba." Yaakov Avinu is beyond limits. Yaakov Avinu loimes. Yaakov Avinu is something that is not limited by constraints of the world. Yaakov Avinu is beyond, because he's ruchni. So he goes, what? B'li mitzayim. Nachala b'li mitzayim. So therefore, when you want to say that the door is open to all directions, Arba Ruchos, it's echoing the bracha of Yaakov Avinu, that it's B'li Mitzrayim, Ufaratz Yama v'kedna tzafon v'negba. Right? I'll tell you afterwards a joke, not for recording, on that. Okay? Afterwards. We should always know it's always recorded. If it is, it's always recorded. But Ner Doluk, that's David HaMelech, because the Ner is Mekabel. It's a kli that's Mekabel the Shemen. It's bringing out that Soroh had all Aleph Fashita the brachas. That's what Chazal are coming to say here. It's the scope of the three Elyonim and Malchus. I'm just repeating the words to sound cool. So it's Chagat and Malchus. I don't know what I'm talking about. And therefore, it's the three brachas, and then it's going to get, and that's the Avlamach, but Ner Doilek Ner Shabbos and Shabbos. The Ner is a kli, kibul, that's Makabel the bracha. That's what he says. Then he goes on saying that really all four were miskayim with Abraham. Okay, Abraham Avinu was, okay, he says it's based on the same thing. Yeah? Okay, and then he says, "Rabbi say, don't cut corners of what Chazal say." Rabbi, I'm just repeating a phenomenon that it happens in Am Yisrael as far as I know twice. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's two achronim that argued on Rishonim, and no one said abu about it. Only two that I know of. The Maral and the Goin. The Goin and the Shchanoch, he brings Rishonim and said, no, it's this, it's not that. Anybody else who lived in that kufa could say that? It's not la halacha.
No, I thought you meant generally.
The what?
I thought you meant generally.
No, does he argue on Rishonim? He just answered another shot.
I don't know, sometimes.
Does he say, does it,
Sometimes he says Rashi. Like the Ramban also with Rashi, sometimes Arachai also.
the what?
Like the Ramban brings Rashi and then has a go. Arachai sometimes I think also not very happy with Rashi.
Not very, Askash is Rashi. Okay, okay.
I don't know limited knowledge, that's the bit I see.
Okay, the truth is, the truth is, I don't know enough about Chaim because I didn't learn enough. I hear. But those two, and the Goin, la halacha, you know what the Goin wrote about the Rambam when you were there, Simon Kufain Tes? Okay, look it up. The Goin when you were there, Simon Kufain Tes. When he speaks about are there shadim in the world or not? And he says, for sure there are, but the Rambam says there aren't. And what he says there, I don't want to say it. You look it up yourself. If it wouldn't have been the Goin, I promise you, they would say you can't talk like that. I don't know.
Present from Baruch.
Well,
I'm only shliach.
okay. I'll meet you afterwards. The Goin. But that's an extreme example. But every Goin will say the Rif says this is this, and Allah is like that. He's machir amongst Rishonim. Ma'aseh b'chol yom. Did anybody say abu about it? Not abu. Not abu. Somehow, Am Yisrael know that those two could do it. Apparently, they know they could do it. Yeah, here he's a little bit giving, a little bit saying, don't. That's not what you should do with Chazal. Chazal say 4, leave it 4. Don't start cutting corners. Okay,
Does that mean the fourth came back as well?
all 4 came back. It says Mefresh Chazal. The Chazal say the 3 came back, say the 4 and the 4th came back. Yeah. Okay, so let's disconnect the. I'm doing it Pashat Lu.